vast tapestry of storytelling, villains often serve as the dark mirror to the hero's journey. But what if I told you that some of these villains aren't just black and white, but rather shades of gray, embodying their own twisted sense of righteousness? Join us as we delve into the complex world of sympathetic antagonists, where the lines between good and evil blur. Hey there, fellow enthusiasts. Open-minded neutral here, and today, I'll diving into the complex realm of villainy. But hold on, I'm not here to vilify them entirely. No, today we're exploring the villains who, in their own twisted ways, were right, sympathetic, and even somewhat justified in their actions. Before we begin, let me clarify. Justifying villainous acts doesn't mean condoning them, but delving into their motivations can offer us intriguing insights into human nature, society, and morality. So let's start our journey through the realms of anime, movies, video games, books, comics, and TV shows.
These hands of mine have been dirty for a long time now, Suzaku. Your coming to face me now doesn't matter at all. Hell, I welcome it even. I mean, of course, you and I are friends. Perhaps this is what I've longed for ever since that day. The destruction and loss of everything. That's right. Destruction always comes before creation, and for that goal, even my own conscience must be cast aside. The only path left to me is straight ahead. Now then.
In the world of anime, moral ambiguity often reigns supreme. Take Light Yagami from Death Note, for example. Driven by a desire to rid the world of criminals, he becomes the infamous Kira, using the Death Note to execute his version of justice. While his methods are undeniably extreme, his initial intentions stem from a desire to create a safer world. Moving on, let's talk about the tragic tale of Pain from Naruto. Pain, also known as Nagato, is a character shaped by pain and suffering, seeking to bring about peace through drastic means. His actions, though ruthless, stem from a desire to end the cycle of hatred that plagues the ninja world. But the anime villain I would like to pick is one of my personal favorites, and the one I sympathize with the most in all of anime, is Lelouch Lamperouge from Code Geass, and why some might sympathize with him and justify his actions. Lelouch is a complex character who undergoes significant development throughout the series. Initially introduced as a seemingly ordinary high school student, he becomes embroiled in a rebellion against the oppressive Britannian Empire after obtaining the power of Geass, which grants him the ability to command others. One reason people sympathize with Lelouch is because of his tragic backstory. He is the exiled prince of Britannia, a nation with a ruthless imperialistic regime. He witnesses the murder of his mother and the crippling of his sister, Nunnally, which fuels his desire for revenge against his father, the Emperor. This background provides context for his actions and helps viewers understand his motivations. Throughout the series, Lelouch struggles with the morality of his actions. While his ultimate goal is to create a better world for his sister and to rid the world of oppression, he resorts to morally questionable tactics, including manipulation, deceit, and even terrorism, to achieve his objectives. However, his actions are often portrayed as necessary evils in the face of overwhelming odds and a deeply entrenched system of oppression. Additionally, Lelouch's charisma and intelligence make him a compelling and sympathetic protagonist. Despite his flaws, he demonstrates a genuine concern for his friends and allies, and is willing to sacrifice himself for the greater good. His complex personality and internal conflicts make him a relatable character, as many people can empathize with the struggle between personal desires and the greater good. Furthermore, Lelouch's journey is one of redemption. As the series progresses, he grapples with the consequences of his actions and seeks redemption for the lives he has sacrificed and the pain he has caused. Ultimately, his willingness to take responsibility for his actions and make the ultimate sacrifice for the sake of humanity's future solidifies his status as a tragic hero. In summary, while Lelouch's actions may be controversial and morally ambiguous, his tragic backstory, complex motivations, and journey of redemption make him a sympathetic and compelling character whose actions can be justified within the context of the story.
Why? So you could just lock me up? Just bury me in the ocean with my ancestors that jumped from the ships. because they knew death was better than bond.
In cinema, we encounter villains whose motivations often blur the lines between right and wrong. One such character is Magneto from the X-Men franchise. Born out of the Holocaust, Magneto's traumatic past drives his belief in mutant supremacy and the need to protect his kind by any means necessary. Another compelling example is Thanos from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. While his goal of restoring balance to the universe by wiping out half of all life is undeniably horrific, his conviction and belief in the greater good, albeit twisted, make him a complex and strangely sympathetic character. But the one I'm going to pick is Killmonger. Killmonger, the antagonist in Black Panther, is a complex character whose actions stem from a deep sense of injustice and trauma. While his methods are extreme and often violent, his motivations are rooted in a desire to address the historical and ongoing oppression faced by people of African descent. Historical context. Killmonger's backstory is crucial in understanding his perspective. He grew up in America, where he witnessed firsthand the systemic racism and discrimination against black people. His father was killed, and he was left orphaned, which undoubtedly shaped his worldview. Desire for justice. Killmonger's primary goal is to empower oppressed people worldwide, particularly those of African descent. He sees the advanced technology of Wakanda not as a tool for isolationism, but as a means to liberate those who have been marginalized and oppressed. Personal trauma. Killmonger's experiences have left him deeply scared and fueled by vengeance. His anger is directed not just at those who directly wronged him, but at the entire system that perpetuates inequality. Identity and belonging. Killmonger's struggle with identity is central to his character. He feels disconnected from his African heritage, having grown up in America, yet he longs to reconnect with it and find a sense of belonging. Critique of Wakanda. Killmonger's criticism of Wakanda's isolationism resonates with many viewers. He challenges the nation's complacency in the face of global suffering, arguing that they have a responsibility to use their resources to help others. Tragic figure. Despite his flaws and questionable methods, Killmonger's story is ultimately tragic. He is a product of his environment and experiences, and his ultimate downfall is a result of his inability to let go of his anger and find a more constructive path toward change. While Killmonger's actions are difficult to justify, understanding the root causes of his motivations can lead to a deeper appreciation of the social and political issues explored in Black Panther. He serves as a poignant reminder of the consequences of systemic oppression and the importance of addressing inequality.
Boss, why are you doing this?
Why? To make the world one again. The world used to be whole. But with the end of the Second World War, the philosophers began to fight amongst themselves, and the world was torn apart. The Cobras, my comrades who trained and fought alongside me, were torn apart as well. The foibles of politics and the march of time can turn friends into enemies just as easily as the wind changes. Ridiculous, isn't it? Yesterday's ally becomes today's opposition, and this Cold War... Think back. When I was leading the Cobras, America and Russia were fighting together. Now, consider whether America and Russia will still be enemies in the 21st century. Somehow I doubt it. Enemies change along with the times, the flow of the ages, and we soldiers are forced to play along. I didn't raise you and shape you into the man you are today just so we could face each other in battle. A soldier's skills aren't meant to be used to hurt friends. So then what is an enemy? Is there such a thing as an absolute timeless enemy? There is no such thing, and never has been. And the reason is that our enemies are human beings like us. They can only be our enemies in relative terms. The world must be made whole again. The philosophers must be reunited. I will devote my skills to that purpose. And with the Colonel's money, I will achieve that end.
Video games offer us villains with multifaceted motivations and moral dilemmas. Consider the character of Joel from The Last of Us. Driven by love and the trauma of loss, Joel's decisions throughout the game raise profound questions about morality, sacrifice, and the lengths one would go to protect those they care about. Another intriguing example is the elusive man from the Mass Effect series. Fueled by a desire to ensure humanity's survival at any cost, his actions blur the lines between heroism and villainy, making him a compelling and morally ambiguous antagonist. But the one I'm going to pick in gaming is the boss from Metal Gear Solid 3. The boss from Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater, is a complex character whose actions can be seen through various lenses, including sympathy and justification, patriotism and duty. The boss was deeply patriotic and committed to her duty as a soldier. She believed in her mission to maintain peace and stability in the world, even if it meant sacrificing herself for the greater good. Her loyalty to her country and her ideals is something that can evoke sympathy, as she was willing to bear the burden of being seen as a traitor for the sake of her mission.
None may lay hands on Doom. I know what you've been doing here, Stark. Working on your little toy, searching for the Skrulls hidden among us.
What do you know about the Skrulls?
That which you do not, Avenger. I know how to find them. I would have had the genetic key sooner, but you chose to destroy my scanner like an angry child.
So what? You're here to help me? Out of the goodness of your heart?
No. This world is mine to rule, and mine alone. These reptiles may not have it.
Literature and comics book has given us villains whose complexity rivals that of any other medium. Take Severus Snape from the Harry Potter series, for instance. Initially portrayed as a villain, Snape's true motivations and sacrifices reveal him to be a deeply conflicted and ultimately sympathetic character. Comic books are no stranger to complex villains, and one standout example is Victor Von Doom, also known as Dr. Doom. Doom's pursuit of power is often seen as his defining characteristic, but it's rooted in a desire to protect his people and ensure their prosperity. He genuinely believes that he alone has the strength and vision to lead Latveria to greatness, and he's willing to do whatever it takes to achieve that goal. In his mind, the ends justify the means, even if it means resorting to morally questionable actions. Moreover, Doom's intelligence and technological prowess are unparalleled in the Marvel Universe. He's not just a megalomaniac, he's a genius who has made significant contributions to science and technology. His inventions have the potential to benefit humanity, if only he could set aside his ego and use them for altruistic purposes. Another aspect to consider is Doom's sense of honor and duty. Despite his antagonistic relationship with heroes like the Fantastic Four, there have been instances where he's shown a code of honor and even assisted them when the situation demanded it. His rivalry with Reed Richards, for example, is complex, driven by jealousy and resentment, but also by a begrudging respect for Richards' intellect. Ultimately, Dr. Doom is a tragic figure. He's a man consumed by his own ambitions and insecurities, yet driven by a genuine desire to make the world a better place, at least in his own twisted way. While his methods are often villainous, his motivations are rooted in a desire for greatness and a belief that he alone has the strength and wisdom to achieve it. In that sense, there's a certain sympathy to be found in his character, even amidst his villainy.
Do you know what would happen if I suddenly decided to stop going into work? A business big enough that it could be listed on the NASDAQ goes belly up. Disappears. It ceases to exist without me. No, you clearly don't know who you're talking to, so let me clue you in. I am not in danger, Skylar. I am the danger. A guy...
Finally, let's explore villains from the realm of television. Walter White from Breaking Bad is a prime example of a character whose descent into villainy is both tragic and compelling. Driven by a desire to provide for his family, Walter's transformation into the ruthless drug kingpin Heisenberg forces viewers to confront the complexities of morality and the human psyche. And there you have it, folks. Villains who, in their own twisted ways, were right, sympathetic, and somewhat justified. Remember, understanding their motivations doesn't excuse their actions, but it does offer us a fascinating glimpse into the shades of gray that define the human experience. Thanks for joining me on this journey through the complex world of villainy. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content, and like always, stay safe and stay open-minded.